Welcome to Configure and Verify OSPF routing. Let's go to router 1. Welcome to Configure and Verify OSPF routing. Okay. Looks like on router 1, I need to copy from flash to run config. Okay. So that just had my configs and everything saved. Show IP protocol, make sure we don't have OSPF running. Okay, step 1 is router OSPF1 and then advertise your networks. The easiest way that you can do this is by doing this. Do show IP route connected. And we see our directly connected interfaces right here. And these directly connected interfaces we want to advertise in OSPF. Right? So router OS1, and we are going to advertise the network 192.168.1.0 as part of area 0. We want to advertise 192.168.1.2, and we want to advertise 192.168.1.3.0. Okay. Do show IP protocols. We do that again, and we see we are routing for these networks right now. Do the same with R2. Router OS1. Do show IP route connected. That gives us our template right there. So we want to advertise network 192.168.2.0 into area 0, 192.168.1.2.0, and net 192.168.2.3.0. Okay. Do the same thing for R3. Do show IP route connected, and we are going to do net 192.168.3.0, net 192.168.1.3.0, and network 192.168.2.3.0. And we should start seeing neighbor adjacencies show up. And just like that. And verify OSPF neighbors and routing information. Show IP OS neighbor. And yes, we see our neighbors here from router 3's perspective. Show IP OS neighbor. And we see the neighbors from router 2's perspective and router 1 perspective. Show IP OS neighbors. And yes, we do have our neighbors that are connected. So now we can do show IP route, and we're going to notice some OSPF routes. See O right here corresponds to OSPF up here. Okay? So 192.168.2 via this address here off of serial 000. 192.168.2 is the far side right here from router 1's perspective. And same with 192.168.3 from router 1 perspective is right over here. Okay? And 192.168.2.3 is via serial 000 or serial 001. And the way that looks like, because 192.168.23 is right here, right? So you can go out serial 00 to get to this network, or you can go out serial 1 and come out and back over this way. So that's how you do it. And show IP protocols. Show IP protocols. And this shows the router ID here. This shows number of areas. It's just area 0. And shows we are routing for these networks. And then routing information sources. So these are the neighbors here. And when the last update was. So same with R2. You can see that. And see show IP protocols here. Okay, so far so good. Verify OSPF process information. So that would be show IP OSPF. And the router ID is this. Okay, and it is the backbone area, area 0. And the shortest path algorithm was executed a few times. Okay, and then to show OSPF interfaces, we do this. Show IP OS int brief. And it looks like Packet Tracer has a limitation and it can't do that. Show IP OSPF interfaces. Well, at least we can do that. So instead of it being brief, it's going to give us the full table here. It's going to give us a bunch of information, and that's good. So it's going to tell us here the cost is 1. And for the serial interfaces, the cost is 64 because it's a slower interface. Okay. Change router ID assignments. Okay. So we could do this. Just real quick. Interface LO0. Oh, need to go into the interface first. Now we can do that. Okay, show IP OSPF neighbors. And instead of reloading, you should be able to reset the OSPF process. Well, maybe, well, as you saw on the physical lab, you were able to reset the process and reset the neighbor IDs. So I'm going to pause it right here while I reload the routers. Welcome back, and let's take a look at where we are here. Let's take a look at OSPF neighbors, show IP OSPF neighbors. And yes, after the reload, it will take the lowest IP and make that the router ID. Okay, and there's also a way, instead of having the lowest IP become the router ID, what you can do is also hardcode the router ID. And the way you do that is you go into the OSPF process, and you choose the router ID. So in this case, it's doing that. In clear IP OS proc, same with router 2. Router ID is same with router 3. Router ID. Show IP OSPF neighbors. We should start seeing this populate pretty soon. Okay, there's router 1, router 2. Let's double check router 3 here. Make sure our router ID is 33. Okay. So we'll just correct that really quick. Router OS1, router ID, much better. Now we see it. Okay. Part 4, configure OSPF passive interfaces. So you don't want to have OSPF traffic out your LAN interfaces. Right? Same thing with RIP, just like how we talked about. So what we're going to do is we go into do show IP OSPF interfaces gig00, and we're showing that we're passing hellos out. Okay, so the way that we stop that is we go into router OS1 and we do passive interface for gig00. And we'll verify that by going to looking at this again. Okay, no hellos and passive interface. That's our keyword right there. Do the same for router 2 and for router 3. So even though no hellos are being sent out of the passive interface, the route still shows up in the routing table. So if we do show IP route 192.168.1.0, which is this right here, we should be able to see that network still. And yes, we do. Okay. So you can also set passive as the default on your router as well. Okay. And the way you do that is under your OSPF process, then you do passive interface as default. And what this is good for is it's good for protecting you from yourself. That's essentially it. So that causes a network administrator like you to drop everything in, but as the last portion, you unpassive the interface that you want. Okay? So under router OS1, we're going to set passive as default. Okay, so what we do then is we no passive S000 and no passive S001. Same with this. And same with this. Okay, and we start seeing OSPF neighbor adjacencies starting to form again. So with this, hopefully you can answer these questions. Okay, and we're going to pause the video here, and on the next video, we're going to look at how to change the OSPF metrics and what that all means. Okay, see you on the next video.